How many times have you sat on a website battling and debating what size you need because designer shoe sizes are so inconsistent? Yes, I know, that's me. So, I wanted to kick off a new series, Trial and Error, where I share all of my fashion learnings and mistakes so you don't have to make the same ones that I did. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, and we are discussing all things work style, fashion, and a little bit of everything in between. So please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if that's what you're into. So let's jump into it. So funny thing is this is kind of what compelled me to create a YouTube. I've always wanted to consolidate everything that I've learned because while I've always loved clothes, I haven't always been engulfed in it like I am now. And I feel like that's kind of the history and backstory that can get lost on social media, is that it just seems like you've always been this person, or you've always had these things, you've always had access to this designer thing or that designer thing, when for me, at least that's not the case. I've grown in my career and that has allowed me access to different things. And I still fondly remember my first designer shoe purchase, my first designer shoe fail, and how I really had to learn the hard way, probably like anyone else. And it hurt even more because my checks, I needed that money. And sometimes I would waste it because I just didn't know my shoe size. That's why I feel like this video is so important and really needed, because I want you to get it right more times than you get it wrong, because we do not have money to be wasting out here. What is your shoe size? I'm just gonna say it now, it's gonna vary. Do not think that if you wear a size 9, like me, a US size 9, that's gonna translate equally across the board. It just won't, and it never will. Sometimes you really do have to try something on in store for it to be right. But what you could do is have some guidelines. I am a US size 9, tried and true. I would say my foot, looking at it right now, it's probably more wide than narrow, not very flat. On the skinnier side, but not super slim. I'll show a picture at some point. But I would say it's not a petite foot. I would say it's like a regular foot, but not a petite foot. And one of the first shoes that I had to learn the hard way on was Prada. This was one of my first designer purchases, and I went ahead and ordered a size US 9. That translates typically to an Italian 39. Now, if you've been doing this for a while, you know that was a big no-no. So again, the size on the shoe is 39. That would translate to a US 9, Italian 39. And as you can see, these are still brand new in the box, which means I haven't even got to dust the paint off of these, because they fit just right. A tad bit too small. Like if I worn them outside, my feet are gonna be falling over the front. So perfect. But do you see how narrow this shoe is? And that is my experience with all Prada shoes. They are so narrow. They are made for European feet. And with that, I would say, do not order your standard size. Just look at how narrow it is. And I found that even as you get bigger, the shoes are still really, really narrow. And so naturally, I would be a size 40. But in reality, I'm not even a size 40 in Prada, I'm a size 41. Again, I'm still a tried and true US 9, but I found my best fit in Prada to be US 41. I could probably do a 40 and a half, but I opt for 41 because I just want the shoes to last. I'm thinking as I get older and my feet get bigger, things change. I still want to be able to wear these shoes, so I opt for 41. I'll show you how these fit on my feet. I think I paid like $400 for them, and I was like, one day I'll force it, and that day just never came. So now Again, I opt for 41, so these are also Prada. You still can see how narrow the shoe is, but I have more than enough room. Even a little room to add a cushion, which I like to do because heels hurt. 41 is the US 10. I feel like it's gonna say 11, but this is a 10. While we're on the topic of Prada, if you're looking into loafers, the standard Prada loafer, these are a 9.5. So these are a 39.5. This was a bit earlier on into my designer shopping. Today I wouldn't have gotten this size, but I find that these fit perfectly fine. I do wear them with chunky socks so they don't rub in the back, but with the loafers I find you do have a bit more room to play with. So these are 39.5, but I can fit them with chunky socks. So I don't think a 41 in these would work for me, but they are, again, narrow. So just keep in mind what it might fit. It still might squeeze your foot. It might be very, very uncomfortable. So if you're spending a lot of money on these shoes, you want to make sure they fit comfortably. And so while you might, again, have the length, watch out for the fit, because I find that all Prada shoes are very narrow. Doesn't matter the silhouette. Do one more Prada because I feel like I want to make sure that my girls get it. So this is a 40, a sandal, so it's a little more forgiving. I definitely can fit it better than the 39, but these, again, are tight. So with Prada, I would say it's all about that width. In any Italian shoe, just keep in mind, like if you have a wide foot, add some size for that. So these, I can fit them. I do not wear them for long because they are high, and then they're tight in the front up here because they fit just right. I'll show you how these look on too. Okay, so now we're moving on. Saint Laurent, mostly all designer shoes that I've come in contact with are gonna be like an Italian. So when I see that, I think very slim silhouette, and that has not steered me wrong. So I know to opt for a 40 and up. I used to be a solid 40. Now that I get older, that slim fit is just, it kills me. So now I'm 40.5, 41. And you'll know what you gravitate towards. Like if you know your feet's gonna grow, if you're gonna have a baby or whatever, keep that in mind. Also, a sale find back in the day, you couldn't tell me nothing in these sandals. These are a size 40, and I would say they fit perfectly. They are a little bit more tighter in the front than I would feel comfortable with today, but these in the 40 were perfect. I found that they were comparable to my other like Zara heels, Steve Madden heels in terms of shape. They weren't as narrow as like Prada. So if I were to get a Saint Laurent shoe today, I would probably still just get a 40, which is a 10, comparable to a US 10, but pretty much it's a US 9. I want to try these on so you guys can see what the Saint Laurent US 40 looks like on my foot. So again, I did say that it depends, because these Ferragamo heels are also Italian, but they're in US sizes, and I feel like they fit in US sizes. So I ordered a size 10 in these, and I feel like they're too big. So these are the Ferragamo pumps. I have like a full insert in these, and they were kind of flopping off ish. Not really flopping off, but I definitely had a lot of room. It's like you really have to try stuff on. So for Ferragamo, I would probably go with your real US size. So I could have got these in a 9.5, even in this narrow pump silhouette. So we've gone through Ferragamo, Prada, we did a little bit of Saint Laurent, and then I'm gonna do some of my other favorite brands that I have worn and what size I wear as a US 9. Still on sandals, Christopher Esber. These are US 41. Why did I get a 41 when it's a sandals? Again, This shoe is very narrow. I found the fit very similar to Prada. With this narrow shoe, my toes are even still, with a 41, my toes are still right there. So Christopher Esber, I would say, would run on the more narrow or smaller side. The same goes for the row. These are actually US 40, tiny. And I was actually really sad that these are 40 because they're my favorite shoes, but they are tight, or my feet slide to the front. They fit perfectly, but my feet slide to the front, and I don't know if a bigger size would have helped. But I found, and I was very surprised that these were as narrow as they were. I've stretched them out quite a bit because I was like, I'm not letting these go. These are my favorite heels. But the row, tiny. This is definitely a US 41 or 40 and a half must if you're a US nut. How about everybody's favorite, a tabby? So for tabbies, oh, I was like, yeah, there's a quarter in there. I get a US 41 in my tabbies as well. Could I do a 40 and a half? I think so. But again, for shoes that I really like, that I wear a lot, that I want to have for a long time, I opt for, like, I know my feet are going to get bigger as I get older. And so I'm often ordering a US 41. You have to consider that you're going to probably be wearing these with socks. And so you want to be comfortable. I wouldn't say anything about the fit in terms of how narrow these are. I don't feel that way. I feel like it's a regular boot, but a different boot. That's different from these Dries boots. So these are a 40, but I find that Dries shoes are very narrow. And so these boots get really tight right here. And the tabbies just don't have that silhouette. And I don't find that their shoes are very tight and narrow this way. Like, I have some flats, Margiela flats that I think are a 40 and a half and they fit fine. But the Dries, I feel like it has more of that Prada feel where it's just very narrow. And so for the most comfortable fit, I have to go to the 40 and a half and the 41. These are 40, but I'd be forcing it. Last one, for size references, are these Marni platforms. So these are a 41, and I would say they fit perfectly. I actually have a little bit of room, but not a ton. I would say these are consistent with all the other shoes. And so you kind of can see, like, I'm really in the 41 camp nowadays. I would say I can still fit a 40 and that's my normal size. But if I want comfort, longevity, to last beyond like my feet changing, I'm opting for a 41. And I think that should give you a good sense of what to order if you're buying designer shoes and you're a US size 9. And just some more reference points, because I think that's the most important thing, is just like the reference points. Zara, I typically always buy a US 9. The 10s sometimes for Zara are too big for me. Steve Madden, it depends. Jeffrey Campbell, I always buy a US 10 just because their shoes are so damn tight. And what I like to do is keep a log. So if it's like an Italian brand, I just know 41. And what I would recommend is that you keep a log. Start keeping a log, and then you'll start to see trends, and that'll allow you to not make the same mistakes or forget. Go in the store and try them on. There's no shame in trying on shoes and going into the store. Even if you don't buy them, don't be bullied into buying anything that you don't want. Just go into the store, and then you can learn your sizes that way. Don't just resort to online shopping, because again, you have policies where you can't return them. You just don't want to get stuck into that trap. And so you can use my guides. Don't go out here buying 39 and a half. Don't do it. If you see a 39 and you're a US knot, don't do it. Unless you have a very narrow, dainty foot, in a few years you're gonna be mad that you can't wear that shoe. Like me. I have too many shoes here that I just don't wear just because I can't fit them. Do not make the mistakes that I made. They look great in my closet, but I would prefer to be wearing them. If you have other brands that you have questions on, let me know. I just picked some of my faves and some of the ones that I had the most trouble with and had the most trial and error and wasted the most money on. But let me know some brands if you're looking and you're like, damn, I don't know what size I wear. and you happen to be a US 9. I think if you are, again, even a different size, you can take the reference as a range. Where I'm a US 9, I think if you look, that would translate to, I think it'll translate to an Italian 40. Some things say 39. So you just have to be careful. But in my brain, US 9 equals a 40. EU 40, Italian 40, that can get tricky too. So just be careful. If you found this helpful at all, be sure to let me know in the comments and come back for part 2. I want to talk about clothes. I feel like there is an expectation on designer clothes. And a lot of times I find that we hold these designer clothes in a bit too high a regard, because some of the stuff that I have bought, I can find that shit at Zara. And what it showed me was like, it's not always about the brand name. I know that, but you know, we can all get caught up. It's about the fabrics, what you're buying, and understanding that. And once I understood, like, okay, if I'm going to be buying wool pants, understanding what type of wool I'm buying. If I'm going to be buying polyester, understanding why that material is polyester. And I feel like as I've purchased more, I've learned more. And just like the shoes, I want to share that with you all so you can add to your fashion experiences and not make as many mistakes as I had. Thank you for tuning in. I enjoyed sharing this and I hope you did too. Be sure to leave a comment if you love it. All right, see you next time.